the artist that you're sort of trying to guide them in a certain way. So it's a lot of persuasion, charm, not so much making things happen by directive.
So I have heard that good managers find you as opposed to us finding good managers. What's your take on it?
I think that's true for the industry in general, and I guess that's sort of shorthand for saying that the best way to find people to work with is to develop a following and some kind of
Buzz.
Some kind of a buzz, yeah. Whether it's touring, online press, sort of anything that sort of gets you recognized. I mean, that's the best way to find people to work with is when you've built up a little something and then they're coming to see you, and you can sort of have more of a choice, and there's more of a clear path to go down once you start working with it.
So are managers then, like good managers, and of course I would consider you a good manager, are you actively seeking out music, or is it something that you only seek out at a specific time, like maybe when you're not managing someone else, and you kind of have an opening? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How does that work?
I think different people do it different ways. For me, I'm always open, and I'm always trying to keep the communication open with attorneys, A&R, promoters, agents.
So you have people necessarily that you kind of know that kind of given you good people?
Yeah, I mean, I used to try to just go to clubs as much as I could, but that's hard. It's like, there's just so much out there, so you end up relying on people who maybe do a little screening ahead of time and you trust their taste.
So I want to get into a little bit about your company specifically. I know I mentioned to you earlier. On your website, it talks about your new business model for that network management is developing and putting out there. If you could talk a little bit about that, because I think it mirrors a lot of what we've been sort of hitting on every month at the Lock Series, with the sort of changing industry.
I should have looked at the website. Is it the...
yeah, it talks about... Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty groundbreaking initiative. Polyphonic is an investment fund. And it's sort of like the way it would work in any other business. It's like the artist is a business, puts together a business plan, puts together their team, and submits all that to Polyphonic. And if they like the plan, then they will invest. And the plus side of it, among others, is that you hang on to your masters, you hang on to your publishing. Polyphonic doesn't take any rights at all. And they also don't market, they don't do anything, they just give the money. And then it's up to the artist to put together the team and put together the plan and go from there.
Great, thank you. So I have a couple, I come from a sort of jaded sense. I had a really bad experience with a manager, and luckily I have someone great now, but I had a manager, it almost ended my music career. Like it was such a bad experience that I just, almost thought it wasn't worth it. My manager used to be so involved with details. Like he would ask me what kind of guitar strings I play to make sure, And so my question to you is, what are the boundaries you would recommend setting up with a manager to protect yourself? Is it best to get something in writing?
But definitely get something in writing. I mean, that protects the manager too. I mean, it's just a good way to start off. Boundaries, I think that depends a lot on the artist. Some artists actually need a lot of really hands-on. I try to stay out of the music. I try to stick with artists that their music is done. They don't really need me for that. But in other circumstances, it can be pretty hands-on as far as that stuff goes. Other times, you sit back and when the artist delivers the record, it's delivered, and that's the first time you hear it. So it really kind of runs the gamut.
You find managers today are more sort of like boutique managers where they're kind of freelance on their own, or are there other management companies like yours out there? And if you could maybe just talk about just kind of like the landscape with the management industry.
Yeah, there's several big firms. You've probably heard of Irving Azoff. He's been swallowing up a lot of managers over the last few years. So that's one of the big, very big ones. Then there's Red Light, which is run by Dave Matthews' manager. And I'm sure I'm missing a few. And then there's scores of solo managers out there. Yeah, so there's a lot of that.
Okay. What are the signs that like a manager is working in your best interest as opposed to their own interests? And are there certain benchmarks? I mean, assuming like we all eventually want to be superstars, you know, great writers, and, you know. So when we get to that point, and then when we're on that journey, how do we know we're not going to get screwed? Like, what are signs that they're serving our best interests?
I think that I think when you start off with a manager, the first thing that needs to happen is you sit down and make a plan and sort of a timeline and goals and like a vision for what ought to be happening in your career. And then you sort of you need to follow your instincts, I guess, as to whether things are progressing in the way they should be, and hopefully there's some checks and balances with an attorney who's involved. You can sort of go to them and bounce things off them and get that opinion. But their own interest, I don't really know. I think, again, that's an instinctual thing. You sort of, anything in the music business, your manager should be able to explain to you very clearly. Like, nothing's that complicated. So you ask lots of questions and just see if it makes sense to you. And if you start to get a bad feeling, then you should probably check into it.
Right, so almost have like a vetting process, I guess, if someone approaches you and says, hey, I'd like to manage you, to kind of see what they have to offer.
Yeah, again, I think it's about the plan.
Okay.
If the manager seems like they know what they want to do with you, that's a big plus. You know, that actually is probably the first thing you want.
So, okay. Yeah, because I know, I mean, so many people I know, like I'm from West New York, and so many people I know that are just like in college playing open mics and stuff, like their roommate says that they're the manager and they just walk around with a mailing list, you know, and that's vastly different from what you're doing, but it's still that same name, you know, and so there's such a big gap between those two things, you know, so it's very difficult to sort of maneuver those waters because you don't really know anything about it.
Yeah, well, Red, I mean, I guess if you've got one of those friend managers, just to don't, I guess, put too much stock in that person and imagine that they're going to maybe have the experience that they don't have, just sort of maybe keep it in perspective, like this is a friend, they, you know, help load the van and get announcements done, but it's not, they may not really have.
Okay, cool. I'd like to open up the floor a little bit. We'll do a hand raising sort of thing, and I'll call out. If I don't get to your question, you know, there will be avenues for you to ask that question after the meeting. But you know, we're gonna. Anyone have any questions for Ari? I saw the first hand, Mr. Wise. Right behind you, and then we'll come to you. Okay.
How would an artist go about submitting to polyphonic?
Polyphonic.
Yeah.
You know, you should, anyone who's interested in polyphonic, I guess you're going to write to...
Yeah, so loft@songwriters-circle.com if you have questions. And then that's so everything sort of comes to the same place. And then we can reach out to Ari.
Yeah, I think what happens at that point, and it's just getting started, but I think what's happening at that point is we'll send out sort of a form to fill out, which kind of asks a lot of questions about, you know, what rights you have to your music and your team and budgets, that kind of thing, and yeah, so it goes from there.
Okay, you had the next question?
Yeah, hi. Who's screening your music for you?
Could you say that a little bit louder?
He asked who's screening the music. We screen our own music, really.
You said there was some people screening the music for you in order for you.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Well, I guess like I was saying, there's some attorneys who are really active in shopping artists, and one of the functions they play with their clients is to help find a manager, a label, an agent. So,
Do you have any people in particular you work with?
people in particular.
The team of people?
No, it's a sort of, it's a whole, yeah, a whole bunch of people I've met over the years. Any number of, a lot of people.
It's also kind of, I mean, just you guys would understand why he might not want to like name specific people like right now. I mean, just it kind of puts them out on an island all of a sudden.
Yeah, then there's some lawyer who's all of a sudden got 100 emails.
Of course. So,
but yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to, you know.